Welcome to IJS Online Yoga Studio. I am Cantor Lizzie Shammash coming to you from Philadelphia, where the trees are in full bloom and the birds are singing. This is native land of the Lenape tribe, and we pay them their honor and thank them for this land, this beautiful land. So today we are on the other side of Pesach. When we last met, we were pre-Pesach. So here we are squarely into the Omer, the second week of the Omer, and the week of Gevurah, of strength, of discipline, power, limits, boundaries. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. Our props today are going to be a blanket and then either 2 blocks or a chair, please. We're going to do a little bit of workshopping on Warrior 3 pose, and it will be nice to have prop, I think you'll find. So that's about that. Let us get started. We're going to start in a seated position. So our plan is a few minutes of warm-up, a little bit of teaching. Our class proper lasts 45 minutes, and then we have about 15 minutes for Q&A, and I hope you'll stay for that if you're able, because it's always enlightening to share together and learn from other members of our community. So find a comfortable seat. That can be in the chair or seated on the floor, as I am, either cross-legged or with the legs tucked under you. Let's take the hands and clasp hands and send the palms forward. So really press the palms forward fully, evenly from the wrists. And do so that you spread the shoulder blades nice and wide. Once you find that spreading of the shoulder blades, let me show you from the side. So spreading the shoulder blades and opening, almost coming to sort of toward a rounding, and then suck the upper arm bones back into the shoulder. Let me show you that again. Really feel that you suck the shoulder, the upper arm bones into the shoulder socket, right? Like make that a nice container for the shoulder, so we're safe as we then, if you're able, if it works in your own shoulders, to start to bring the arms up overhead. Right? So never straining and pushing. And if you find that your shoulders start to rise up towards your ears, you want to bring the bottom tips of the shoulder blades down. So you can kind of go through that process a few times to extend the palms upward towards the sky, towards the ceiling. Lift the rib cage off the pelvis. Lift the side waist up evenly. And then come on down. Take the other side. So cross the fingers with the other way. Might feel a little strange because we're used to our habit. So change the cross of the fingers over and then do the same thing again. Palms forward, spread the shoulder blades, then draw the shoulder blades back together as you suck the upper arm bones toward the shoulders, into the shoulders, right? Little finding safety, finding a container for the whole shoulder girdle and unit as you come up. And you can move the head side to side a little bit. Just see that head and neck are easy. And then release, shake that out. And then we'll just inhale the arms up, palms facing each other. Again, only as much as you're able. So you might take it wide, you might take it bent, you might take it just shoulder height. You'll see what works for you. Bringing the arms up. Right? So extend the fingertips up and then draw the bottom tips of the shoulder blades down. So you really have that opening, that extension. Then if it works for your head neck, take the gaze up, take the head up. So a little bit of extension from the thoracic and cervical spine. A little bit of a back bend. And then come on back down. Bring the arms down, but let the crown of the head really extend up. So you have a lot of length to the spine. Bring the fingertips to the floor. Press the fingertops down as you lift the crown of the head up. So you find grounding and lift. So we're going to start with a breathing exercise. Today, this 9th day of the Omer is Gvura shebigvura, strength within strength. It's about the strengthiest it gets, the strongest amount of power. So we're going to start with a powerful breath. It looks like this. Let me just show you first. The inhale is arms up, and then with the fingertips extended. And on the exhale, we make fists, bring the hands down by the sides, and exhale audibly, ha. So it looks like this. Ha, 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 and so forth. We're going to do 2 rounds of 20. And so I'll count them with you a little bit along the way so you know where we are. Inhaling fully and exhaling fully. Inhale and begin. Ha, 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 ha. 10. Ha, 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 ha. 5, 4, 3, ha. Last one, ha. Let the breath return to normal. Let the eyes be soft. Notice any sensation. So you might notice that there's a little more aliveness. If you start to feel really quite dizzy, then you stop. You don't want, this isn't for you. You don't want to do this. Just breathe regularly. So we're now in a recovery. And then second set will begin in a moment. So 20. Inhaling fully. Exhaling fully. Let's begin. Ha, 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 ha. 10. Ha, 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 ha. 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one. Ha. Just letting the breath come back to normal. Inhaling and exhaling. Keep the eyes open, focused but soft. Notice how you feel. So I want to share some teaching with you today. So this period of the Omer allows us 7 weeks, 49 days between Yetziat Mitzrayim, the exodus from Egypt, the movement from slavery to liberation to freedom. We have now this 7-week period until we arrive at the holiday of Shavuot, which you could say is the coalescence of the Israelites as a people with morals and laws. And so we need this time to figure out our journey, release any remnants of constriction and old beliefs before we can get to this establishment of receiving Torah, receiving 10 commandments. So during this time, during this 7 weeks in the Kabbalistic tradition, we use the 7 lower sfirot, 1 per week, sfirot, or as we call them also midot, to highlight particular qualities and aspects of both God's emanation and our own consciousness and being. So week 1 was chesed, was loving kindness. And through the 7 days of the week, as you know, we rotate again through qualities within qualities. So today is gvura shebigvura, strength within strength, right? But we're going to focus mostly on just the overarching, the week, gvura. So gvura, translated as also known as din, judgment, strength, power, judgment, or discernment, boundaries, limits, very important, discipline, is a balance to chesed, to loving kindness. So chesed and gvura balance each other. If we have too much chesed, if we have too much too much love, as it were, we might mistake just being nice and pleasant all the time as true kindness. And in fact, actually, it needs a balance. Unbounded love can be too overwhelming, whether we're the giver of that or the recipient. Too much gvura, too much strength, discipline, etc., and we can be too rigid, too strict, too unyielding or demanding. Right? So in yoga terms, we can look at it as not too tight, not too loose, as we balance these in our practice. Too much chesed, too much softening, we might not even show up to the mat, or we might be too gentle with ourselves, and just keep saying, I don't feel like it today. And we may not make the progress we need to make. Too much gvura, and we risk overdoing and causing injury, which is always a problem, because I do it this way, and this is my routine, and we should do it like this. So also, I think of gvura in yoga as this important aspect that we call finding your edge. Finding the boundaries of where you have enough sensation to work a pose, but you're not going too far, right? And that's the mindfulness of this practice, finding our edge, finding the container for ourselves, and being skillful with our edge. That's gvura. Gvura is also building up our strength, just building up our strength so we can become stronger in our practice. So I want to share each week, IJS is sending a beautiful piece, and Rabbi Sam Feinsmith sent it this week. You may have received it yesterday, and I want to share one paragraph out of what Sam taught us from the teaching of the Maggid of Mezrich, Rabbi Dov Ber, about God and Gvura. So the Maggid says, during the creation of the worlds, the Holy Blessed One needed to contract God's radiant light so the worlds could receive it without going out of existence. This contraction, tzimtzum, is called severity, is called din. Which contains the outflow of divine loving kindness, of chesed, the nature of which is to spread. This is just like water in a vessel. The glass contains the water and doesn't allow it to flow outwards. Even though we may experience this contraction, this tzimtzum, as severe, it is kindness, nevertheless. For each and everything that exists must have some good that is loving kindness, chesed, mixed into it. For, quote, the world is sustained through kindness, olam chesed yibaneh, quoting the Psalms. Even though the contraction is severe, without it the worlds would cease to exist. So chesed needs gevura to contain it, right? And that is what I would really like to explore in our practice today, a sense of gvura. So let's come to standing. And first take mountain pose, the feet together or hip width apart. And once again, we're going to inhale the arms up overhead. And the palms can face each other, or they can face forward if that's more comfortable, or they can, again, be bent or wide. So as we do this in mountain pose, find the four corners of your feet, really find that grounding. Let the tailbone lengthen, and notice how the rib cage lifts away from the pelvis and the abdomen lengthens and hollows slightly. Can you draw your navel towards your spine? And can you have some ease in your shoulders and your neck? So really finding that the extension of the fingertips comes all the way from the grounding of the feet. And then go ahead and release that down. We're going to take Warrior Two. So take the legs wide. First to the right. Turn the left toes in and the right toes out. See that the front heel bisects the back arch. The hands can be at the hips or the hands can be at shoulder height. So we inhale and then exhale and bend through that right knee. And find your edge, right? So it might be just a tiny bend. You might not go very far in this pose, or you might go all the way to 90 degrees, but you don't want to go farther. And then feel any sensation as it arises and builds, and stay with it. Stay with your breath in and out. Send those left fingertips back. Root yourself. Stay as long as you're able, building that sense of gvura as power and as discipline. When you've come to your limit, come on up. We'll change sides. So, right toes in, left toes out. Inhale, the arms come to the hips or up to shoulder height. Extend through the fingertips. Exhale and bend through that left knee. Find the pose. Find your edge. Take those right fingertips back in space. There's a tendency for the torso to lean forward in this pose, and you really want to have a plumb line through center. And so if you extend those back fingertips back, that tends to help. And breathe here. Be with sensation. See if you can go 1 or 2 breaths past what's comfortable. That's how we build our strength. Of course, within a sense of safety, personal safety, right? And as you're ready, release. So you're always the steward of your own practice, your own body, and your own choices. Come on up. If you do have a block today, you're going to take it between the legs. And if you don't, no problem. So we're going to do fierce pose, sometimes known as chair pose. If you like balance, right? If you need balance for yourself, then you're going to use the chair as we sit, right? You may or may not need it. I want to make sure that that option is there for you. Squeeze the block, roll the thighs in. Notice how that gives you a strong sense of your pelvis widening. Draw the navel to the spine. Inhale. And exhale, sit it down, sit it back. Let's take the arms just to shoulder height with the palms facing each other. Lengthen strongly through the tailbone. So we want to make sure we're not overly arched in the low back. Lengthen that tailbone towards the heels and draw the belly in towards the back body, towards the spine. And breathe. Come on up. We'll take it again. Right, so maybe you feel heart rate rising, heat rising a little bit in the body. That's good. That's important. Maybe there's even a little warming of the thighs, the outer hips, the buttocks. We're going to take it again. Arms can come to shoulder height, or arms can come all the way up as you wish. So inhale and exhale, sit down. So again, if you're using the chair for balance, your hands will rest on the chair. Use your breath. Let sensation build. Let heat build. Squeeze that block. Lengthen the tailbone, navel to spine. And it helps to smile. Use your breath. Steady, smooth, long breaths. Find your edge. And then squeeze the block as you come up whenever you're ready. Take the block away. Just pause for a moment, back to an easy mountain pose, and notice how you feel. Okay, we're going to take a forward fold. So again, facing the chair or with the 2 blocks to the floor. either one. Let the feet be hip width apart. Inhale, lift the heart, and exhale, fold forward to what we call flat back, long spine. So hands to the chair or hands to the blocks. And so we're not folding all the way over yet. We're lengthening from tailbone to crown. Draw the thigh bones back in space. Draw them back. The pubic bone lengthens back. The inner groins roll in. This is going to become really important as we move into our next pose. As we move towards Warrior 3. And then as you're ready, if you would like to fully fold, come on down further. Folding towards the legs, letting the crown go. Only if you wish. And if head below heart is contraindicated in any medical way, you won't do this pose. You'll stay in the lengthened spine. Hands to the hips, press into the feet. Inhale to come up. Good, very nice. All right, so let's build. The next thing that we're going to do is fold forward from the hip crease. Hands to the chair or hands to the blocks. With the left leg as the standing leg firmly under you, just lift the right leg back. It comes to hip height. The toes are pointing down. There's a tendency to want to open at the hip, right? So we have to really work to bring that right hip pointing down towards the floor, right? Continue to find what we found in these last poses. Navel to spine, tailbone lengthens toward the heel. See that head and neck are in line with the rest of the spine. Bring the right leg down, replace it, standing leg, let the toes spread the toes, and then inhale, bring the left leg up. Good. So when I talk about the hip wants to open, we want to kind of move to that. We want to close it in. It means also that the inseam of the leg moves up towards the ceiling, right? So left thigh rolling in, inseam of the leg moving up towards the ceiling. So try that a couple times, back and forth again. Right leg up. Good. Find your connection through the core. Change. Exhale down. Inhale, left leg up. Great. And then come on up. I want to offer you now a couple different possibilities. You can choose. So one of them is just do again what we just did. Another, if you have the chair, if this appeals to you, build up the blanket on top of the chair. It depends actually on where your hips are and where the chair is, but essentially, I need actually more height for this. You fold over the chair. So the blankets are really into my low belly. I come to here and I try the same thing over, right? Sending one leg back, sending the other leg back. You can also balance on the chair and begin to extend the arms. So now you have the support for the hips. That would be one option. Another option, if you have wall, and you can try both of these. So as I'm showing you, you can start to do. The other option, you have to just measure it out a little, is to take your blocks or your chair away from the wall, and the back foot rests on the wall. And you press that back foot into the wall. And for that one, you can really then start to feel that proprioception helps you understand where are my toes, right? So that you send them down and that you really work that flex of the back foot. So go ahead, try any of those options. You might become a little bit out of breath. That's normal. It's a hard pose. So the back leg is no higher than hip height. We're not trying to get it higher. It's the same height as the hip. And this is as much the work for the standing leg and the outer hip and the hamstring of the standing leg as it is for the back leg and buttock, especially of that extended leg, as much as it's for the extension of the thoracic and the upper spine that we worked on with just the arms. Building a sense of gvura. Of strength, of power, of discipline and discernment for refining the pose. So important. And then, if you'd like, this last round of practice of Warrior 3, you can remove everything and you can do this pose freestanding. Feel free, of course, to continue with props. I want to add one more possibility if you have the wall, which is you can use the wall for your arms and extending the arms to the wall. Okay, so I'll model for us freestanding, but you go ahead and take it however you're doing, wherever you're at in this process. So inhaling the arms up overhead, stepping the right leg forward, that'll be the standing leg. As prep, just work on extension through legs and through the arms. Inhale here. And then exhaling, hinging at the hips, folding forward. It's a lot harder at this point without anything to help us. And you can fall out, you can come back in, extending in two directions. And then as you're ready, come on up. And you can try the other side. So it's nice to start from the back of your mat. Arms up, stepping the left foot forward. I like to pause here, inhale, find length, and exhale yourself into the pose. Find extension. Draw the navel to the spine. And then inhale, come on up. Exhale, release the hands. Very, very, very nicely done. Okay, why don't we come to the floor, lying on the back. Take your blanket if you would like some support for your head. I'm going to come to bridge pose now. So if you're a little tired from the work so far and you'd like to take a low bridge, a supported bridge, then you'll take your block. You'll press into the feet, place the block under the low back. Just let the low back settle onto the block. Let the tailbone lengthen. Let the abdomen drop towards the back body. And this will be your bridge. This would be a more yin style pose, a more restorative style pose. That's one option. If you're willing to stick with the movement, or I shouldn't say willing, if you're inclined, if you're moved to keep it more dynamic. I'm going to take 3 bridge poses. Let's start by taking the hands to the outer edges of the mat. The soles of the feet are on the floor, the knees are bent, and the heels are in line with the sitting bones. Inhale here. Exhale, lengthen the tailbone, draw the navel in, lift the hips up, press through the soles of the feet and particularly the mound of the big toe, helping you to keep the knees from splaying. You don't want the knees to splay. You can start to bring the shoulders under you. Think of the lifting coming directly from the thigh bones themselves and from the hip points themselves, rather than thinking about this pose as a squeezing of the buttocks. Right? The buttocks engage, but we don't want to overly clench or tighten. And then as you're ready, on an exhale, coming down vertebra by vertebra to the floor. At any point, if you're done with this work, you can do the low bridge or you can hug the knees into the chest. So, once again, inhale. Exhale, press into the feet, lift the hips. Start to wriggle the shoulders under you. Maybe they come a little further this time. Feel that you're lifting the sternum up toward the chin, rather than tucking the chin toward the sternum. And as you can hear, I can still talk, like, or I'm not crunched in my throat, right? There's still length and opening in the front of the throat. Press the hip points up, press the mounds of the big toes down, lift the hips. Once again, sense of gvura in our limits, finding where are your limits, where's your edge. Can you build yourself in strength by taking maybe an extra breath or two in the pose safely before you come down? And when you're ready to come down, vertebra by vertebra to the floor. Pause, breathe, notice. It's important to pause and observe what are the effects, what are the reverberations of the pose. It helps us know where to go next and how much energy to give to it. Good. Once again, draw your heels in a little closer to the buttocks, as close as you can get them. Inhale. Exhale, press up. Roll the shoulders under you, and you can continue to hold outer edges of the mat, or if it's available to you, clasp hands. Continue to move the knuckles toward the heels. Good. Hip points up, thighs up. Knees are parallel, thighs are parallel. Sternum lifting. Then breathe. If the breath starts to get ragged or short, that's how you know you're surpassing your edge, right? So breath should be even, should be able to breathe smoothly. Let some heat build. Stay as long as you're able. Maybe you feel a sense of fatigue a little bit. What does that start to feel like in the body? See if you can stay with it. Just a little extra, and then slowly coming down vertebra by vertebra. And pause, notice. So when I say stay a little longer, to be very, very clear, I'm never going to ask you to push in a way that's dangerous for you, right? It's simply of stretching our limit a little bit. Maybe we can stay longer than we imagine we can, right? But never to a point of pain or strain. Shift, press into the soles of the feet, lift the hips, and just shift the hips about an inch or two to the left. Draw the knees toward the chest. Take the arms out to the sides, shoulder height. Inhale here, and we're going to exhale and take the knees over to the right and down for a twist. Keep that left shoulder anchored to the floor. You might choose to grab a block and place it between the lower legs. If you want a little bit of relief for the left hip, if that's too much, it's a very nice modification. Nice option. Be here and breathe. The gaze is up toward the ceiling. If you have the mobility in your neck, you might like to take the neck over the head, turned over the left shoulder. You'll see what works for you. And whenever you're ready, you're going to come and inhale back up to center. Give the knees a little hug. And then take the soles of the feet down to the floor. Press into the feet and now shift the hips just an inch or two over to the right. Inhale the knees to the chest. And exhale, drop the knees down to the left side. Twisting to the other side. Right shoulder is grounding down. So find this kind of opposition across the torso from the left hip to the right shoulder. A lengthening and an opening. So Gvura can manifest as putting boundaries on personal relationships that need a little more structure, or boundaries, fences maybe between you and someone else, right? And to do that in a loving way, right? With chesed. Gvura can manifest as a project that you're working on that you procrastinate. You tend to procrastinate. Gvura is the discipline to stick with it, to set times during the day when you'll work on it, and then to honor those times. That's the exercising of Gvura. Gvura can be saying something to another that's been difficult for you to say, but is really important for the health of the relationship. So there's so many ways we can investigate how Gvura manifests in our lives through this second week of the Omer. And as you're ready, bring the knees back to center. And once again, give them a hug. And you can rock a little bit side to side. You could take the knees in a circle. You could take happy baby. Whatever you need. Just massaging out the low back. And one last thing before we settle into stillness, we'll take a figure 4, crossing the right leg over the left. You could stay right here with the left sole of the foot on the floor and just explore bringing the right knee in and out. You could go a little further, bring the whole structure toward the body and taking hold behind the left thigh as you draw it in. Keep a flex on that right foot and breathe. And again, you can discern the limit of the movement. You can draw this figure 4 closer towards your body and press away with the right elbow to cause a little more sensation to build in the outer right hip and buttock, right? Or you can back off. It's all in your hands. It's all in your hands. And then switch sides. Left foot over right thigh. Keep a flex on that left foot. So really we're looking into the nuances of our own edges of Gvura this week. And then as you're ready, extend arms and legs. Give a nice big yawn. You can keep legs and hands together, or you can take it wide like an X. Inhale and fill that shape as you stretch in 4 directions. Exhale, let everything drop to the floor. So coming into stillness, it can be a traditional Shavasana with arms and legs extended. The palms facing up towards the ceiling. Or you might prefer, right, especially if you have any low back tenderness, you want to keep the knees bent and soles of the feet on the floor will be nicer for you. You could support the legs by putting, if you have the 2 blocks, putting a block under each knee or thigh, or you could put the lower legs up on the chair. So many choices as you come into total surrender and stillness. Simply let be, let go. A couple moments for quiet. And begin to deepen the breath as you come back to the surface. Wiggle the fingers and the toes. Draw the knees toward the chest. Make your way over onto one side, using your upper arm as a pillow for your head in a fetal position. And pause on your side. Breathe here. Breathe into your fullness. Feel your whole form. Feel your body, your mind, your heart. And as you're ready, push into your hands to push up to a comfortable seated position. In any way that's comfortable, with your sitting bones grounded. Tall spine. Feel Gvura resonate within your being. Take one hand to the belly and one hand to the heart, form of a self-hug as we make a khatima, a seal, closing of our practice. Feel your belly and your chest rise with the inhale. And draw away from your hands towards your spine on the exhale. And as always, we don't hold the fruits of our practice in for ourselves, but we send them outward so that they can radiate into the world, into action, all the benefits of our practice. So you may wish to dedicate your practice to someone, to something. You might join me, as I've been doing every day since the war began in Ukraine, sending the fruits of my practice out to the people of Ukraine for safety, for shalom, for peace. And then as you're ready, release your hands. Allow the eyes to flutter open. Find your space. Feel your space. See your space. Shavua Tov. Thank you so much for practicing today. Your showing up is a gvura that helps the others in the community. So never think that your presence is expendable or unimportant. Couple announcements and we'll move to Q&A. I'm going to be away for the next 2 weeks. We're going to have a wonderful guest teacher, and that's Chazan Joanna Delkin from Minneapolis. So she will be with us the next 2 Mondays, which is really great. I'm wishing all of you a beautiful Omer period, and I will be back in mid-May. So let's move to some Q&A. Feel free to put that into the chat or to raise your hand. Bimaya, let's start there. Hi, it's so nice to see you. Let's see, ask to unmute. That should work.
Hi, thank you so much. It's been very nice to be back and to be back with everyone. I wanted to ask, when we are moving our vertebrae down from the bridge one at a time, I'm noticing that I'm needing to kind of move my shoulders out in order to get to roll down. And I didn't know if I didn't hear you mention it, and I wasn't sure if I had moved the shoulders in too far or.
No, thanks so much for reminding me. That's an important cue. So yeah, you want to, like, as you come up to bridge, right, you're kind of snuggling your shoulders under you to get kind of this going on, right? And the knuckles coming together in a lift of the sternum and the chest. So to get the vertebrae down, yeah, you want to release the hands, widen the shoulders, and drop vertebra by vertebra back.
Was the
So
release,
that instinct was exactly right, Pamaya.
okay, it was the releasing of the hands that I forgot to do. I wanted to say thank you very much. A lot of the things that you were saying, even though it was about the practice, I could see how I needed to carry that forward into some of my daily life and struggles. Like it helps to smile. Like,
It always helps to smile. That's very true. Um,
thank you.
thank you for your presence. It's really good to see you. Um, Kathy Ostroff had a beautiful question here in the chat. I appreciate the analogy of finding your edge in yoga as part of Guru. I wonder if finding your edge applies to other areas of life experience. Of course, right? Like there's the edge in our physical activity. There's the edge of our confidence or our trust or our ability to speak our truth. We work on our edge in how honest we can be with others in our lives. One of my personal edges is working on giving feedback that's difficult for me to say. That feels like I might potentially be hurtful to the other person, right? Like finding that sort of how I can speak my whole truth and not worry so much about the other person when I do that. I don't know if I'm quite saying that articulately, but maybe I ask the group, to share your own experiences of finding how you find your own edge in other areas of your life. I want to also add that the whole piece by Rabbi Sam Fine-Smith that I read a piece of, that we'll put that into the chat, so you have that. Judy, this was a question about, it looks like it came just to me as a direct message. When we do the pose that includes the 2 sets of 10, the breathing, so do we breathe through the nose and exhale through the mouth, or do we breathe through the mouth on both inhale and exhale? I'm inhaling through the nose. Yeah, nose, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Oh, there are a lot of questions, it looks like. I don't see any hands raised. Let's see. Deborah says Warrior 3 or 2 was 100% better today. Great. That's so great. Yeah, I do. Let's see. Sandy. Let's see. Ask to unmute. And then Bill after Sandy.
Hi, I have, this was lovely, and I too have a lot of problems speaking the truth if I know it's going to hurt somebody, which I'm going to work on this week, but I think it needs more than that. This is a practical question. Does IJS have the chart of the days of the Omer with the upper midot and then the lower midot? I think that's what you called it, like what each day is called?
So I don't know that IJS per se has a chart, but if you look, Sandy, online, just say calendar for counting the Omer, or there are apps. Like I have an app and it gives me a notification every night to remind me to count. It will tell you which day we're on. The one I have is called Omer Count. And let me see if I can show you the screen. It actually does show you all the Sfirot.
Mm-hmm.
That's in English. And there must be where it shows you with Hebrew names, but I don't seem to see it. So is that kind of what you're looking for, like a chart, the Kabbalistic?
Yeah, I think somebody just might have answered the question.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, it's just called calendar because I do get every day from my rabbi the actual counting.
Yeah, okay.
And
So
I
yeah,
know
you
that
can.
there is a chart that has the upper and lower spirot on it, and I tried online and it didn't work. But you said Omar
Omer
count.
Omer count. You could
Okay.
also Google something like Kabbalistic tree or something. Maybe somebody on the call even has a nice chart that they like. If you have Rabbi Art Green's book, Essential Kabbalah, it's in there. I don't know if you own that book. That's a really nice one to have that gives very clear explanation. Very clear explanation. Bill, let's see. Let me ask you to unmute. There we go. See if you can unmute yourself. You have to press unmute. Is it working? Does it come up to ask you to unmute?
Yeah,
There you go.
I said, thank you for coming back. I missed you last week, and it just need the exercise to start the day correctly. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job.
Thank you. Okay, friends, let's see. Beautiful. Thank you from Bird Skies. Bird skis. Another thing, here's a quotation. Another thing that's very important to me is kindness, and kindness over niceness. The easiest example I can give is that a kind person will tell you you have spinach in your teeth, and a nice person won't because it's uncomfortable, right? But the kind person is going to set you up for a much better rest of your day because you're not running around with spinach in your teeth. That is a fun example. I want to also remind you, because I haven't in a while, that if you're interested in purchasing and obtaining yoga props, my favorite website is Hugger Mugger. So we'll put that into the chat for us. Huggermugger.com is a great place to buy blankets, mats, blocks, straps, etc. So thank you all for your practice this morning and for your hearts. It's really beautiful to be with you. Enjoy this day of Gvura